everyone, Angela here. Today we're going to talk about air plants. I have 5 tips that I want to share with you on how you can grow happy, healthy air plants indoors. All right, here we go. All right, so before I get into what my 5 tips are, I want to talk a little bit about the anatomy of an air plant. So you can see this is a really good example. I should have taken it down before. This is an Ecuador, a Trichome Ecuador, and you can see, I kept the name on it so that I would remember because I'm so bad at names. But you can see all of the fuzzy little kind of hairs that are on this plant, right? These are called trichomes, and these little hairs on each of the leaves are what help the plant absorb the nutrients and moisture from the air. So this plant is a really good example so that you can see how the plant can grow basically. So every plant will have them to some degree, but you won't always be able, see this guy looks really fuzzy. So he has some, another really great example. But then there are some others that don't look that same way. But at the very bottom, kind of on the inside, you can even see it there, they all have trichomes. And so the way that you water a plant, an air plant, is going to be based on the kind of plant that it is and the type of trichomes that it has. So for example, there's 2 different ways that you can mainly water your plant, and it's going to be either by soaking or by spraying. Something with a trichome that has some intense trichomes like this, you're going to want to use a spray bottle. Don't ever soak this. You can dip it in water, but then you're going to just let it air dry. You don't want to soak it because this plant is going to be way more effective at taking the natural moisture from the air than something that has less trichomes, or less apparent trichomes, I should say. So when you water, I like to take into account the humidity. In the winter, there's less humidity. In the summer, there's way more here. We're in Missouri in the United States. So we have lots of Missouri heat and humidity. So in the summertime, I don't have to worry too much about soaking them, but I do just walk around once a week with my spray bottle and give them a little squirt. In the winter time, when it's a bit drier, we do an hour-long soak in the kitchen sink. And you've probably seen some pictures or videos of me having bath time with my plants. But anyways, yeah, we do a soak, and then the most important thing is letting them air dry. You always want your plants to be as upright as possible when you lay them down to dry so that no water collects at the base of the plant. If you have water collecting at the base of the plant, it's going to rot and it will die very, very quickly. So I like to water my plants upside down when they're soaking and then take them out and let them dry upside down as well. But otherwise, I give them, like I said, I just give them a spritz once a week, and then once a month I do use some plant food here. This is low in nitrogen and low in copper, and I'm not exactly sure what's in this particular one, but it came from Air Plant Design Studio, and they have great resources on air plants, and most of my plants are from them actually. They're fantastic, so check out their website if you have a chance. airplantdesignstudio.com. It's good stuff. But yeah, so this is just a spray, and like I said, once a month I just go through and give everyone a spray in addition to their regular bath for the week or longer. Now, the way you can tell if your plants need to be watered or not, once you get kind of used to them, you can feel by their weight. This is a very heavy plant, and he's actually really kind of not brittle, I guess is the word. He's not brittle right now. He's kind of squishy. So that means he is very healthy and he's watered well. And so he doesn't need a drink. I actually got him last week and I dipped him in water when they arrived. And then I posted a video about it actually. These were a birthday present from my brother. Thank you, Tanner. And I gave them a little bit just because they had traveled, but they're doing very well. It's been a whole week, and they don't seem to need a lot. There are going to be other plants. Let's see, show you some of my other ones. These guys are a really good indicator. They get very brittle and they kind of close up. You can see this one here is a little, the leaves are curling a little bit. He needs a good drink, but then I also need to let him dry really well. So you can see there's a little guy down there. So those are a couple tips that I have about watering. One of the most important things I think that most people aren't too well aware of. They think air plants and they think that they're dry and they're from the desert and that they need a lot of sun, but you have to be so careful. They really only need to be about 3 to 5 feet from a light source, whether it's natural light or artificial light. And if they're too close to the sun or they get too hot, they'll dry out way too fast and they will scorch and burn, and you will not be able to resurrect them. So most of my plants are probably a little bit farther away from a light source than the 3 to 5 feet, and they still seem to be doing very well. But the more light you give them, the more frequent your watering has to be, and you have to take that into account with your humidity too. So like I said, you get to know your plants pretty well, and you can feel if they're tight and brittle or very light, and they're supposed to be heavier. You can give them a quick drink, and they'll do much better. The air, of course, I've already kind of mentioned that a few times. If you have plants that are next to a vent, if the heater is running in the winter, they're going to dry out faster. So the temperature in your home and the season that you're in, if you don't have, I don't have humidity gauge in my house. I can usually tell by my hair. But these are things you're going to want to take into account. I keep most of my plants away from our vents. But in the winter, it's something to pay attention to. So you have to feed and water and give them light, different in the winter than you do in the summertime. But so yeah, keep away from vents. And as far as the air circulation goes, like I said, the air plants take their nutrients from the air, in addition to any extra. I only fertilized or gave them plant food probably a year after I purchased my first round of these. So they can survive without it, but I think every plant does a little bit better when you give them a boost, what was I saying? Oh, air. Yeah, so you have to make sure that they are getting fresh air. You don't have to open your windows all the time, but you want healthy air in your house, right? For you and also for your plants, because especially air plants, this is their, way they survive. They don't live in soil. You can't keep them in soil. I have a couple plants that have really good roots, which I think is so cool. I'm not even gonna pull them out here. Let's see if I can lift it all the way up. I have this hanger. You can barely see the wire. Both of these are hanging by my kitchen window, and they're right by the light. It's eastern facing window, and the humidity from the sink is the perfect location. These are all very happy. I only water these maybe once a month because they get all that humidity from the kitchen, because I'm always washing dishes from my beautiful family. Anyways, they will all grow roots like this. You can see those guys there. Some people like to cut them off. They are not necessary, but I think they add an extra really neat dynamic to a plant, and I leave them on. You can also use the roots to glue for mounting. So if you wanted to mount these on anything, you can use the roots to do that, which I think is neat. This guy I just stuck here because I really wanted to see. Let me show you again. So this plant had always been on this hanger, and he was growing really well with just the humidity from the kitchen sink. So I pulled this guy off of this window or this frame and put him, and look, he has 6 new leaves from just being by the kitchen sink. So he's really happy over there. And I think probably the additional light source too was helpful. If your plants are ever struggling, I think when in doubt, check the light source. Sometimes plants, they do well indoors, even if they say they succeed well in low light conditions, but every plant loves a little bit more light. I'm finding that out with my ferns, indirect, but more light is always a little bit better if you're struggling. Okay, so trimming your plants. This is another care tip that I think people often neglect, especially with air plants. they see part of it dying or a lower leaf that's dying, and then they throw out the whole thing because they think it's dying. But that's just not the case. I should have found one that, here, this might be a good example. I usually trim my plants every time I pull them out to water. So not if I'm spraying them, but if they need a deep soak, that's kind of when I do that extra maintenance and give them a little bit of cleaning. So I saw this. Now I can't remember whose video I saw this on. Suzette? No, maybe it's me, Rebecca. I'm so sorry, I forget, but someone had this adorable literally the same glass vase or whatever, and she had her plant in here, one of her plants in here, and I thought, oh my gosh, I have that same thing and it looks so cute, so I did it. It needs washing, so don't judge me. But anyways, this plant here, you can see the roots are hiding. They've like grown upwards because I've had it in the cup. But all of these little lower leaves here, they sometimes will get brown and real crispy, and even when you're watering, and you can see, maybe you can't see, there's some bright green new growth. There's a ton of new growth on this plant. It's really actually, I don't know, there's 8 new leaves in there. He's growing very well on top of my kitchen sink. But even so, sometimes the lower leaves still die, and all you have to do, these guys are all totally fine, so I'm not going to do it, but you literally just pull them off and they clean up very well. And it makes the plant healthier. It doesn't hurt it at all. And that's what I call trimming. So easy. You can also have, let's see if I can find one down here for you guys. Sometimes the tips get a little brown from underwatering, and it's okay because we're all human, right? So this plant is a really good example. So cool. He bloomed last year, and I kind of left it because I thought it was an extra neat, there you are, on the inside, right? It just brought a different dynamic to it. But you can see, you know, sometimes they get crispy brown on the end, and that's okay, it happens. I usually take a clean scissors and just trim them off. I do that on all my plants, and it doesn't hurt the plant at all, but it makes it look a million times healthier, and then the plant can focus its energy on the healthy leaves rather than the dying parts. So I always do that. There's one other thing I wanted to say. Oh, about this guy. So he has a special little treat over here, and that is what they call a pup. So these plants, all air plants, will create babies or pups once they have, typically, once they have bloomed. If you continue feeding, nurturing, giving them appropriate water and light, they will produce a little offspring. And this is my first offspring, so I haven't removed it yet because I just want to see how they're going to grow together. But it was last fall when that started. It's very slow growing, but you can see there are a lot of new leaves there. So the spring, I think, is really going to help this guy. But I do have a couple brown leaves there that I will trim off after this video. I didn't bring my scissors with me, otherwise I'd do it for you now. But I just think that this guy is like so tremendous looking. And it's little, but it's gonna grow into a big, beautiful plant, especially with that little pup down there. So, oh, and then I wanted to give you guys, a quick update on my newest plants. My birthday was last week, and I received, oh, here you go. I received these plants from my brother. Thank you, Tanner. And here, like down here at the bottom, broken, and so you just rip it off. And I probably broke these when I brought them over, so we're all human. But anyways, you just rip them off. So easy. So easy. Okay, yeah. So I wanted to show you the second half of my gift, which I received the next day after I posted the video. But look at these. Can you see them all back here? Oh, aren't they so cute? So I didn't have any of these, and my brother knows me so well. They're so beautiful. 3 little glass terrarium globes, and there's one open panel for each of the 3. And so I get to put my plants right inside there, and this will also help create a little bit more humid environment for them. So these plants I won't have to water as frequently. And when I do water them, they will have to stay out for at least 4 hours, drying upside down, because if there's any moisture left sitting on the leaves or at the base of the plant, like I said before, it will rot the plant faster than you can imagine. And I know this because I've done it. I mean, we're all guilty of it. It's okay. But of course we want happy plants. So like I said, turn all of your plants upside down or prop them upright. Some of the plants are a little bit more difficult to do upside down, but like this guy actually leans up against the wall when I hang him or when I dry him. Yeah. Anyways, you kind of have to figure out how to do it, but when you figure out the perfect way for each plant, then you know, just leave it for 4 hours. Sometimes I leave it overnight. It's not going to hurt them to be upright, but then you know for sure that the plants are dry before you put them back on the wall or in a terrarium or whatever. So I think, guys, this was very long-winded and I'm sorry, but I hope you all learned a little bit of something about how you can keep your air plants happy and healthy indoors. So if you have questions, comment below, and thank you guys so much for all of you who stuck through to the whole video. And yeah, I guess we'll just see you in the next one, okay? All right, thank you, stay safe, have fun, enjoy your lives, okay? Bye, everyone.